Here is your script rewritten word for word with exactly the same length, same sentence count, same pauses, same paragraph breaks so it fits your video timing perfectly. Does it feel like your life has come to a complete stop? Do you open your eyes every single morning carrying a weight in your chest, asking yourself whether all those prayers, all that effort, and all those endless days of waiting will ever bear any fruit? I need you to hear this with crystal clear certainty. God is moving deeply in your life at this very moment. Not next year, not when life gets easier, not when the world finally lines up in your favor. Right now, God's work is unseen. God's work is exact. And God's work cannot be stopped. Every delay you're walking through, every battle you're fighting, every sleepless night full of questions that have no answer, none of it means God has walked away. It means God is conducting a perfect, heavenly symphony behind the curtain. And the moment this truth sinks into your spirit, a flame will be lit inside you that nothing can ever put out. You have to know this. God's work in you is never shallow. God is not interested in surface fixes or short-term patches. God is operating in the deepest parts of your soul, in the very core of who you are. He is reshaping your character, fortifying your spirit, and getting you ready for blessings your eyes have never seen and your mind cannot yet grasp. Do you feel small right now? Do you feel unworthy? Perfect. That is exactly the place God loves to start. Because when you are weak, when you are humble, when every ounce of your own strength and pride has been stripped away, that is when God's power rushes in and fills you completely. God never stays on the surface. He works in the secret chambers of your heart where change becomes permanent, where preparation becomes complete, and where faith becomes unbreakable. I know life has hit you hard. I know the disappointments have stacked up so high you can barely breathe. Maybe you've prayed until your knees ached and still it feels like heaven is silent. Let me say it again, louder this time. God is not sleeping. God is not blind to your pain. God is not holding back until conditions are perfect. God is moving in ways your eyes cannot track, in ways no human eye can see. Every setback is a divine setup. Every closed door is God turning you toward the path you were born to walk. Every second of silence is God loading your breakthrough with power so great your life will never be the same. Don't let what you see right now steal your faith. Don't let today's picture convince you it's the final one. God is painting a masterpiece in the hidden places of your heart. While fear whispers and uncertainty screams, God is laying every brushstroke with perfect care. He is cutting away what doesn't belong. He is pouring into every empty place. He is molding every broken piece into a vessel of purpose, power, and destiny. You may not get it today, but one day you will, and when that day comes, joy will flood your soul because you'll finally see that every tear, every trial, and every second of waiting was God pulling you into perfect alignment with the future He wrote for you long ago. Here's what I need you to know today. God's work in your life is never temporary and never skin deep. It is eternal. It is the kind of strength nothing can shake, the kind of wisdom nothing can undermine, the kind of faith nothing can break. God is building something inside you that no storm can tear down. He is laying principles, patterns, and foundations that will carry you not just through today, not just through this year, but for the rest of your life. And when you finally step out of this season of hidden preparation, you will carry a power, a confidence, and a clarity that can only come straight from the hand of God. Pay attention now. The very things that feel like roadblocks are God's refining tools. The moments that feel like failure are God's transformation labs. The lonely nights are God's quiet classrooms where your faith is strengthened, your spirit is renewed, and your calling is made crystal clear. God is never in a hurry. God is never careless. God is meticulous. Every second, every trial, every tear is working together for your good. And when the final layer of preparation is finished, you will stand as living proof of God's deep, flawless, life-changing work. Do you feel the weight of responsibility pressing down? Do you feel the crush of expectation? That pressure is evidence of the deep work God is doing inside you. God never hands massive purpose to unprepared hearts. God never gives great responsibility to untested vessels. He works in the depths to refine your character, to toughen your resolve, and to purify your vision. Everything you're going through right now is preparation. Everything you're feeling is divine shaping. Everything you're carrying is God's guidance. And it's all leading to a life that stands unshakably on holy ground. Your faith is the master key. Not your talent, not your bank account, not your network. Your faith in God is the foundation He builds everything else on. Sometimes the very battles you're facing were sent to awaken a level of faith deeper, stronger, and fiercer than you ever knew you could have. When the storm is loudest, when every door stays shut, when hope feels completely gone, that is the exact moment God is doing His deepest, most powerful work in your life. Because God doesn't measure progress by what's visible. He measures it by transformation, by preparation, and by perfect alignment with the destiny He planned for you before you took your first breath. You might be asking, why now? Why me? Why so many obstacles? I'm telling you with all the authority of heaven, because God is getting you ready for something massive. He is forging a heart that can carry huge purpose, an unshakable calling, and blessings that would crush the unprepared, the impatient, or the distracted. He is shaping a vessel that can handle great responsibility, that can endure fire without losing hope, that can shine brilliantly even in the darkest night. Every delay, every disappointment, every hard thing is God deepening your faith and enlarging your capacity to receive. Don't hate the process. Don't fight the refining. Don't doubt the unseen work. God's hand is moving even when your eyes can't follow. God's wisdom is guiding even when your mind can't understand. God's power is preparing even when your heart is tired. And the day you finally see the full picture, you'll realize every tear was worth it, every battle was necessary, and every moment of waiting was sacred ground for your divine becoming. Your life is not ordinary. Your calling is not ordinary. Your purpose is not ordinary. And God's work in you is not ordinary. It is profound. It is deep. It is life-altering. It is unstoppable. Right now God is stripping away everything that holds you back, filling every empty place, and strengthening every weak area. He is preparing you to be a vessel of influence, a lighthouse in the storm, and a walking testimony of His faithfulness. And when His perfect timing arrives, when every piece of preparation is in place, your life will explode with the power and glory of everything God has been doing in the secret place. Remember this above everything else: patience is not passive. Faith is not passive. Waiting is never wasted. God's work in your life is alive, fierce, and unstoppable. Every second you wait is an investment in the greatest transformation you will ever know. And when you finally step out of this season, you will not only see God's hand, you will feel the depth of His work, the wisdom of His timing, and the overwhelming force of His perfect plan. You have to settle this in your spirit today. The depth of God's work in your life is beyond anything the human mind can fully grasp. He is not after quick fixes or temporary patches. He is after permanent transformation, eternal alignment, and a destiny that no storm, no trial, and no enemy can ever shake. Every battle you're facing is on purpose. Every delay has meaning. Every closed door is protection. God is orchestrating a sequence of events so perfect that your life will line up with purpose, prosperity, and holy authority. And the most beautiful part? Most of God's work is completely invisible to the human eye. You may not see it with your eyes. You may not feel it with your hands, but it is alive. It is exact. It is unstoppable. I need you to hear me with absolute clarity. What is taking place in the secret places of your life? The moments nobody sees, the trials that feel impossible to carry. These are the exact moments God is molding your heart, renewing your mind, and forging your spirit. God is cleansing your character, stripping away every root of doubt, every trace of fear, and every hint of hesitation. God is getting you ready for a life of impact, for a calling that will echo through generations, and for blessings that will overflow anything you've ever dared to dream. Do not hate the silence. Do not fight the preparation, because God's work runs deeper than any situation, stronger than any enemy, and greater than any mind can grasp. Some of you are staring at your life right now saying, "I'm too weak. I'm too damaged. I've fallen too many times. God can't possibly use me." I declare to you today with heaven's authority, God specializes in the weak. God specializes in the broken. God specializes in turning every failure into unshakable foundation. It is exactly where you feel most unworthy that God's power shines brightest. When your hands are empty, that is when God's strength fills them. When your heart is shattered, that is when God's wisdom pours in deepest. Your past mistakes, your weaknesses, even your greatest failures are not roadblocks. They are the very tools God is using to do His deepest work inside you. Do not rush God's timing. Do not judge progress by how fast things move. God operates on divine rhythm, not human calendars. God is patient, and in that patience He is perfecting you. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every season of waiting is God's open door to deepen your faith, refine your spirit, and ready your heart to carry what He has already prepared for you. You cannot speed God up. You cannot force His hand, but you can position yourself under His word. You can trust, obey, and stand firm knowing that what God is building inside you right now is worth far more than anything happening outside you. You may feel invisible. You may feel forgotten. You may feel trapped by your situation. But hear this loud and clear. God is never far. God is never gone. God is actively, powerfully at work. Even when the world sees nothing, those silent moments in your life are not empty space. They are God's sacred workshop where your faith is being strengthened, your character is being polished, and your entire life is being prepared for a divine explosion. God's work is patient, intentional, and perfectly planned. Nothing is wasted. No tear falls unnoticed. No battle is meaningless. And one day soon you will look back and realize every hardship, every waiting season, and every test was absolutely necessary for the life you now live. Faith is the channel through which God's deep work flows. It's not enough to praise Him only when blessings are obvious. The true depth of your faith is proven in the unseen, in the silence, in the waiting. Faith stays alive even when everything around you screams the opposite. Faith holds God's hand when the road disappears. Faith celebrates God's timing even when the season feels endless. And it is this faith, cultivated in the hidden work of God, that becomes the launchpad for miracles, breakthroughs, and transformations the world cannot explain. Know this: God is working deeply in your life right now to cut away what holds you back and to build up what is essential. God is removing distractions, doubts, and anything destructive. God is filling your spirit with wisdom, your heart with courage, and your mind with crystal clarity. You may not see it yet, but God is preparing you to walk in authority, blessing, and influence that human effort alone can never produce. You are being shaped for purpose, molded for destiny, and strengthened for victory. Do not fear the process. Do not fight the refining. God's work may be hidden, but it is powerful beyond measure. You are not in a season of punishment. You are in a season of preparation. You are not being left behind. You are being lifted higher. You are not being overlooked. You are being perfectly positioned. Every trial, every disappointment, every moment of waiting is God's hand forming, shaping, and preparing you for a life that will stand as living proof of His faithfulness. God is working in the depths of your mind, renewing your thoughts and aligning your vision with His divine plan. God is working in the depths of your emotions, healing old wounds, removing fear, and building a heart that trusts fully, loves deeply, and endures faithfully. God is working in the depths of your circumstances, arranging events, opening doors no man can shut, and shutting doors that would derail your destiny. And this work is not shallow. It is life-changing. It is deep. It is permanent. Do you understand that the hidden work of God in your life is producing strength no one can steal, peace no storm can shake, and wisdom no amount of money can buy? God is making you immovable, unshakable, unbreakable. God is forging a spirit inside you that will not be stopped by hardship, slowed by delay, or distracted by doubt. The work God is doing right now is deep work, essential work, life-altering work that will become the bedrock for every blessing, every breakthrough, and every divine appointment ahead. You have to grasp this. The work God is doing in your life is invisible to the world, but it is real, it is mighty, and it is permanent. God never works lightly and God never works carelessly. Every situation you face, every trial you endure, every second of waiting is a holy tool in the hands of the Almighty. God is carving away what doesn't belong, strengthening what must remain, and laying foundations that will stand through every storm. And here is the truth you must cling to. When God is at work, nothing is wasted, nothing is random, and nothing is too small to matter. I know some days your heart feels exhausted. I know the nights stretch on and your soul cries out for relief. But listen close. God's work is strongest when you are weakest. God's wisdom flows deepest when your own understanding runs out. God's power shows up clearest when your strength is gone. And it is exactly in those hidden, quiet moments when no one is watching that God's hands are moving with flawless, perfect precision. God is not ignoring you. God is not late. God is preparing you in ways that will forever change the course of your life. There are times it feels like prayers bounce off the ceiling. Times every door stays locked. Times every opportunity feels miles away. But I declare to you today, those closed doors are not rejection. They are God's protection. Those delays are not punishment. They are God's preparation. Every single circumstance is being used by God to refine your character, stretch your capacity, and deepen your faith. And when the full revelation of God's work finally breaks through, you will see that every trial, every tear, and every season of waiting was absolutely necessary to bring you into the place of your greatest purpose and overflowing blessing. God is working in your heart right now. God is cutting out fear, dissolving doubt, and replacing confusion with crystal clarity. God is aligning your thoughts with divine wisdom and preparing your spirit to carry authority, influence, and massive responsibility. What feels like struggle is God producing strength. What feels like delay is God perfecting timing. What feels like weakness is God building endurance. And this work is deep. This work is hidden. But it is eternal and it is flawless. You may look around and see only failure, setbacks, and disappointment. You may feel like nothing is shifting, like all your effort is wasted. But the truth is God is moving deeply, powerfully, and irreversibly. God is arranging events, positioning people, and preparing circumstances to line up perfectly with the destiny only He can see. And the most incredible part is this: God's work in your life does not depend on your understanding, your timing, or your strength. It depends only on God's wisdom, God's timing, and God's power. When God is at work, the outcome is certain. The process is flawless and the result cannot be stopped. Faith is the master key that lets you recognize God's deep work. Faith is the lens that lets you see the invisible, the strength that carries you through the unseen, and the rock-solid assurance that God's hand is moving even when your eyes can't catch it. The depth of God's work demands patience, demands trust, and demands obedience. It demands surrender to God's timing, full acceptance of God's ways, and unshakable confidence in God's perfect plan. And the second you embrace this, the second your heart locks in step with God's hidden work, you will walk with a confidence, a power, and a clarity that no mountain can move. God is not just preparing you for what's coming next. God is preparing you for the person you are destined to become. The depths of God's work are life-changing. They reach your mind and renew every thought. They reach your heart and line up every desire with heaven's purpose. They reach your spirit and make your faith unbreakable. And when this work is finished, you will not only live a blessed life. You will live a life of influence, authority, and undeniable testimony. Every hardship you walk through will stand as proof that God's work is perfect. Every delay will be remembered as sacred preparation, and every challenge will rise as a witness to God's faithfulness. Listen close. God is cutting away everything that holds you back and building up everything that is essential. God is removing doubt, fear, and every distraction. God is pouring in courage, crystal clarity, and spiritual vision. God is placing you exactly where you need to be so that when the moment arrives, you will step into your calling with power, wisdom, and holy authority. You are not being left behind. You are not being ignored. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are being shaped. You are being strengthened. And when the full glory of God's work breaks through, your life will shout a testimony so powerful it will touch generations. Do not hate the process. Do not fight the refining. Do not doubt the unseen work. God's work in your life is deep, life-altering, and impossible to stop. God is moving in your circumstances even when they look impossible. God is moving in your heart even when it feels empty. God is moving in your mind even when clarity feels far away. And every bit of it has one purpose: to get you ready for a life perfectly aligned with divine destiny, overflowing with unshakable faith and unstoppable blessing. Every tear you cried, every wall you hit, every second you waited is living proof of God's deep work. God's work is never shallow. It is eternal. It is never temporary. It is permanent. It is never careless. It is deliberate. And when this season of preparation ends, you will stand as living evidence that God is faithful, God is mighty, and God's work is absolutely perfect. Do you feel the crush of your current situation? Do you feel boxed in by things you can't control or weighed down by burdens heavier than your shoulders? Hear this today. That pressure is not abandonment. That pressure is the very tool God is using to stretch you, to toughen you, and to prepare you for a victory you could never win on your own. Every hard thing is a holy lesson. Every trial is a spiritual workout. Every season of waiting is sacred training ground. God is not just watching. God is actively shaping you into the exact vessel your soul was born to be. There are days it feels like nothing is moving. Days every prayer seems to hit the ceiling. Days every step feels pointless. But here is the truth. God is always working, even in total silence. God's hand moves in the invisible, in the secret places, in the depths your eyes cannot reach. God is rearranging circumstances, opening doors, shutting doors, and paving your path with perfect wisdom and power. You may not get it right now. That's on purpose because God's work is about preparation, not instant results. When God is at work, what's hidden today becomes the foundation of tomorrow's blessing. I declare over you, every moment of struggle is a divine appointment. Every setback is a holy tool. Every delay is heaven's intervention. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. God is not rejecting you. He is refining you. God is not sitting still. He is moving with laser precision and holy purpose. What feels like obstacles are actually instruments of preparation, sharpening your character, deepening your faith, and forging your resolve. The hand of God is moving in ways that cannot be rushed, cannot be forced, and cannot be figured out by human logic. Do you notice the hidden patterns in your life? The coincidences that aren't, the doors that shut right before breakthrough, the people who walk in and out at exactly the right second? Those are not chance. Those are divine placements, perfectly orchestrated by God to line your life up with destiny. God is working in ways too intricate for the human mind, but perfectly crafted so that when the moment comes, you are fully ready to receive, carry, and steward the blessings, responsibilities, and influence He has waiting for you. Faith is the only way to walk through this hidden work. Faith doesn't wait for proof before it moves. Faith doesn't need visible evidence to keep going. Faith is the bridge between God's unseen labor and your everyday reality. When you build a faith that trusts God's timing, trusts God's wisdom, and trusts God's power, you step into the divine flow that is carrying you straight to victory. Without faith, God's work stays hidden and unused. With faith, that hidden work explodes into a visible, breathing, undeniable testimony of God's faithfulness. You may feel too small. You may feel unprepared. You may feel crushed by the size of what God has spoken over you. But hear this loud and clear. God does not call the equipped. God equips the called. God is building strength where you feel weak, clarity where you feel confused, and endurance where you feel exhausted. The work God is doing inside you cannot be rushed, cannot be faked, and cannot be copied. It is unique. It is intentional. It is heaven orchestrated. And it is getting you ready for a future far greater than your eyes have seen or your mind has imagined. There will be days your heart is tired, patience is tested, and hope feels thin. Those days are not accidents. They are the furnace where God's work burns hottest. The fire of challenge is not here to destroy you. It is here to purify you. The weight of trial is not here to break you. It is here to make you unbreakable. The silence of waiting is not God's absence. It is God's sacred preparation. Do not hate these moments. Do not curse these trials. Do not fear the wait. God is working in ways deeper than any situation, stronger than any fear, and greater than any mind can comprehend. Hold this truth tight. God's work in your life is never wasted. Every tear is counted. Every prayer is recorded. Every step of obedience, no matter how small, is woven into the divine design of your life. God's work builds layer upon layer. Strength on strength, wisdom on wisdom, blessing on blessing. The faith you fight to keep in the dark, the quiet perseverance, the disciplined prayer, the humble obedience. They are all bricks in the masterpiece God is crafting inside you. God is not just getting you ready for outward blessings. God is working in your inner world where real change happens. God is shaping your thoughts to line up with divine wisdom, refining your emotions to reflect spiritual maturity, and forging your spirit to stand firm through every storm without losing hope. God is sowing seeds of courage, faith, and unbreakable resilience that will explode into a harvest of influence, blessing, and living testimony. And when the full glory of God's work finally breaks through, you will look back and realize every hardship was required, every delay was on purpose, and every challenge was a holy step straight into your destiny. You are never alone in this work. God is right there with you, guiding every step, strengthening every weak place, and holding you up when you can't stand. The unseen labor of God is alive, relentless, and perfectly accurate. It is never casual. It is never temporary. It is life-changing, and it is forever. Your life is being readied for a level of blessing, authority, and impact that no human effort could ever produce. Only the hand of God can create this kind of depth, this kind of precision, and this kind of permanence. Take this truth into your whole heart today. God is working deeply in your life, and the process matters just as much as the promise. The shaping of your character, the strengthening of your faith, and the perfect alignment of your purpose are worth infinitely more than any quick reward. Trust the hidden work. Embrace the unseen process. Keep standing in faith. And when this season ends, you will not only step into the blessings God prepared, you will stand as living, breathing proof that God's work is perfect, unstoppable, and eternal. I need you to hear this with absolute clarity. God's work in your life is never surface level. God is not interested in changes that fade with the wind. God is operating in the deepest places, where your thoughts are born, where your desires are purified, where your character is forged, and where your spirit is lined up with divine destiny. The battles you're facing, the setbacks that crush you, and the silent seasons of waiting are not pointless. They are God's laboratory, God's forge, and God's training ground. And right there in those hidden places, your life is being prepared for the extraordinary, the eternal, and the impossible. You may feel forgotten. You may feel overlooked. You may feel abandoned by people and by circumstances. But here is the truth, my friend. God never forgets. God never overlooks. God is never absent. Every single event, every person, every situation in your life is being directed with perfect purpose. The doors that slam shut are God redirecting you to what truly matters. The delays you hate are God perfecting your timing. The pain you carry is God building resilience and strengthening your faith. And while the world sees nothing, the work God is doing in your life right now is profound, permanent, and impossible to stop. Here is a principle you must burn into your heart. What God is preparing inside you cannot be rushed. The unseen work of God cannot be forced or sped up by human hands. It unfolds on divine timing with divine wisdom and for divine purpose. When God works deeply, it is intentional, meticulous, and exact. Every delay carries meaning. Every trial carries purpose. Every season of silence is holy ground for growth and alignment. You cannot demand the breakthrough on your schedule because God is crafting a life that will operate perfectly in ways you cannot yet see. Do you feel the weight of waiting crushing you? Do you feel the pressure of not knowing? Perfect. That is exactly where God wants you right now. Waiting is not wasted time. It is the soil where God grows patience, endurance, and unshakable faith. Waiting is not weakness. It is strength being formed. Waiting is not standing still. It is holy preparation. And here is the greatest truth of all. When God's work is finished, you will step into a reality so perfectly aligned with divine purpose that every second of waiting, every trial, and every tear will look tiny compared to the glory that explodes out of it. God is working in your heart in ways that are quiet but earth-shaking. God is cutting out fear, doubt, and insecurity. God is pouring in courage, crystal clarity, and rock-solid faith. God is shaping your character so that when the door finally opens, you will not be moved by pressure, tempted by shortcuts, or shaken by opposition. The spiritual maturity God is building inside you is worth more than any earthly success, because it is the foundation your entire destiny will rest on. God's preparation guarantees that when the moment comes, you will not just survive, you will thrive. You need to know this: God is also moving in your circumstances. What look like roadblocks are actually tools of perfect alignment. The doors that stay closed are redirecting you to God's best path. The disappointments that crush you are the exact weight needed to build your resolve, sharpen your vision, and stretch your capacity to carry massive blessing. Nothing in your life is random. Nothing is meaningless. Everything is orchestrated by God with flawless intelligence and holy purpose. And when God's perfect timing arrives, you will watch the beauty of His invisible work unfold in ways that will leave you speechless. Faith is your key to unlocking the fullness of God's work. Faith is not passive. Faith is not a weak wish waiting for things to get better. Faith is active, fierce trust in God's unseen labor. Faith believes when there is zero evidence. Faith keeps walking when the road disappears. Faith worships in the silence and praises in the wait. And when faith is alive, it becomes the pipeline through which God's deepest work pours into your reality. Without faith, the invisible stays invisible. With faith, it becomes the greatest, most undeniable reality you've ever known. You may feel too small. You may feel unprepared. You may feel unworthy of what God has promised. But listen close. God does not call the equipped. God equips the called. God is turning your weakness into strength, your fear into courage, and your doubt into unshakable confidence. What you see as limitation is the exact place God's power flows strongest. What you see as inadequacy is the perfect soil for God's strength to be made perfect. What you see as delay is God's flawless timing, making sure every step lines up with destiny. Do not hate the process. Do not fight the refining. Do not fear the unseen work of God. Your battles, your delays, and your pain are the very tools God is using to produce endurance, wisdom, and holy authority. Every second of waiting is not lost. Every trial is not pointless. Every tear is seen. God's work is deep, deliberate, and divinely perfect. It is producing a life that will stand as a blazing testimony to the faithfulness, the power, and the perfection of God. And know this: God's work is cumulative. It stacks layer upon layer, day after day, trial after trial, season after season. The faith you fight for in the dark becomes strength in the light. The endurance you build in struggle becomes courage when opportunity comes. The patience you learn in waiting becomes wisdom when you move. And when the full revelation of God's work finally breaks open, you will look back and see that every trial was necessary, every delay was on purpose, and every challenge was a step straight into the destiny God wrote for you before time began. Your life is not ordinary. Your calling is not ordinary. Your pain is not pointless. Your waiting is not wasted. God is working in you in ways that are invisible but unstoppable, quiet but world-changing, hidden but eternal. God is preparing you to step into a life of authority, influence, and blessing beyond what you can even imagine right now. God is shaping your heart, your mind, your spirit, and every circumstance so that when His perfect moment arrives, your life will shout the depth of God's power and the flawless beauty of God's timing.